Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take the sources you send us and really boil them down, pull out the key insights so you can get up to speed fast. Think of it as your shortcut to, getting informed. And today, wow, we're tackling a big one in personal finance. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We got a great summary from a listener, so thanks for that.
Yeah, it's a fascinating book. It really hinges on this stark contrast Kiyosaki draws between his actual father, the poor dad, and his best friend's father, the rich dad.
Exactly. Two completely different approaches to money, to life, really.
Radically different blueprints.
So our mission today is to unpack those ideas. We want to distill the core lessons about money, about investing, and importantly, about mindset. Make it super clear, engaging, and hopefully give you some of those aha moments without drowning you in jargon.
Right. We want you to walk away really understanding the key shifts in thinking the book advocates for. Things like, the real difference between being poor and just being broke.
That's a big one.
How to actually get your money working for you, and why learning about money, financial education, is just, it's everything, according to Kiyosaki.
Absolutely. And there's a quote from the summary that really jumps out, sets the stage perfectly, I think.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
There's a difference between being poor and being broke. Broke is temporary. Poor is eternal.
Powerful stuff. It immediately tells you this isn't just about your current bank balance, right? It's deeper.
Yeah.
It's about a mindset, potentially a lifelong situation shaped by how you understand and interact with money.
Definitely hits hard. Okay, so let's dive right into that core contrast, the two dads. The summary paints the poor dad pretty clearly. He's the traditional guy, right? Work hard, climb the ladder, get that secure job.
Yeah, the advice a lot of us probably grew up hearing. Security through employment.
But the summary includes this quote that just cuts right through that.
Yeah.
Thinking that a job makes you secure is lying to yourself. Oof.
It challenges that conventional wisdom directly.
It really does. And there's another one linked to that. So many people say, oh, I'm not interested in money, yet they'll work at a job for 8 hours a day. That disconnect is interesting.
It is. And the poor dad's path, while it often comes from a good place, aiming for security, Kiyosaki argues it can trap you in a cycle where you're always trading your time for dollars. Your income stops if you stop working.
Right. So then you have the rich dad. What's his angle, according to the summary?
Completely different philosophy. The summary nails it. Rich people make money work for them. That's the absolute cornerstone.
The money working for you.
Yeah. It's about shifting from actively working for money to building systems, acquiring things, assets that generate income whether you're actively working or not.
Okay.
The summary puts it plainly. The poor and the middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. It's a fundamental pivot.
And that leads us straight into maybe the most famous concept from the book, assets versus liabilities. Now, we use these words casually, but Kiyosaki has a very specific definition, doesn't he?
Extremely specific and incredibly useful. Basically, an asset puts money in your pocket, period.
Okay. Simple enough.
And a liability takes money out of your pocket. It's that simple, but that profound. It reframes how you look at everything you own or might buy.
Right. You constantly ask that question, is this putting money in my pocket?
Exactly. If the answer is no, it's probably a liability. And according to this philosophy, it's hindering your path to wealth.
So that new car looks great, might have some resale value.
Yeah.
But is it an asset in Kiyosaki's terms?
Well, the summary points out a new car loses nearly 25% of the price you pay for it the moment you drive it off the lot.
Ouch.
And then you've got insurance, gas, repairs.
Yeah.
It's constantly taking money out of your pocket. So no, in this framework, it's a liability.
And the summary drives this home. Rich people acquire assets. The poor and middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets.
And also, the middle class buy liabilities they think are assets. That's a crucial distinction. It forces you to really evaluate those big purchases differently.
It really does. That distinction is key. And it flows right into the next big theme, financial literacy.
Absolutely critical.
Yeah.
The summary says, financial aptitude is what you do with money once you make it, and how you make money work hard for you. It's not just about how much you earn.
Yeah, that's a common misconception, isn't it? High salary equals financial success.
Right. But Kiyosaki argues it's more about understanding how money works, how it flows.
Yeah.
Cash flow, essentially. Is money flowing towards you or away from you?
And that quote from the summary, it's not how much money you make that matters, it's how much money you keep. That sums it up.
Precisely. It's about managing what you have effectively. And another point the summary makes. More money seldom solves someone's money problems.
That feels very true. If you don't know how to handle it, more money just means bigger problems sometimes.
Exactly. Bigger spending, more debt maybe, if the underlying financial literacy isn't there.
So, a lack of understanding is the real root of the struggle.
That's the argument. The summary states, illiteracy, both in words and numbers, is the foundation of financial struggle. And it makes a really important point, too,
What's that?
that financial literacy isn't the same as academic education. You can be highly educated, professionally successful.
And still financially illiterate.
Yeah, summary says that. A person can be highly educated, professionally successful, and financially illiterate.
It's a specific skill set you have to learn. It's not taught in most schools, traditionally.
So understanding your cash flow is like step one.
Definitely. The summary puts it well. Cash flow tells the story of how a person handles money. It's your financial narrative. And if you don't understand that story, well, as the summary says, most people don't understand why they struggle financially because they don't understand cash flow.
Get clear on where the money is going makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Then there's this idea of minding your own business. What does that mean in this context? It sounds a bit selfish. Huh? Yeah, it could sound that way out of context. But here it's very specific. The summary explains. To become financially secure, a person needs to mind their own business.
Okay.
And it clarifies it's not about ignoring your job, initially anyway. It says the mistake in becoming what you study is that too many people forget to mind their own business. They spend their lives minding someone else's business and making that person rich.
Okay. So minding your own business isn't about your profession.
No, it's about building your asset column. It's focusing on acquiring things that generate income for you separate from your paycheck.
Got it. So while you're working your day job.
Exactly. The advice is start minding your own business. Keep your daytime job, but start buying real assets, not liabilities.
Like planting seeds for future income streams.
That's a good way to put it. And the summary adds a rule. Once a dollar goes into your asset column, never let it come out. Reinvest. Keep building.
Create that snowball effect.
Yeah.
Let the assets buy more assets.
Which ties perfectly into making money work for you, right? Passive income.
Yes. The summary has that great line. The best thing about money is that it works 24 hours a day and can work for generations. It's about building something sustainable.
Building a team of little money employees, as the book kind of frames it.
Yeah, that analogy continues. Each dollar in my asset column was a great employee working hard to make more employees. It's a powerful image.
Much different than just relying on your own hours at work.
Totally. As the summary points out, if you work for money, you give the power to your employer. If money works for you, you keep the power and control it. It's about regaining control, gaining independence.
Okay, shifting gears slightly, let's talk luxuries. This was an interesting point in the summary.
Yes, the timing of buying luxuries.
Right. It says an important distinction is that rich people buy luxuries last, while the poor and middle class tend to buy luxuries first. That feels backward to how a lot of people operate.
It does, doesn't it? The rich dad philosophy is about delayed gratification in this area. You focus first on building those income-producing assets.
And then buy the boat.
Pretty much. The idea is once your assets are generating enough income to easily cover the cost of that luxury, then you buy it. It becomes a reward for building your assets, not something you go into debt for or drain your savings for.
So the assets pay for the luxuries.
Essentially, yes. The summary calls it, a true luxury is a reward for investing in and developing a real asset. Use the income from your rental property or your dividends to fund the fun stuff.
That makes sense. And the summary gives examples of these assets, right? What does Kiyosaki include?
Yeah, it lists things like stocks, bonds, income-generating real estate, that's a big one for him, notes, or IOUs, royalties from intellectual property.
So creative work, too.
And basically, anything else that produces income, appreciates in value, and, importantly, has a ready market if you needed to sell it.
Okay, so a range of options. It's not just real estate.
Definitely not. And related to this, the summary mentions financial IQ. It's not just one thing. It's like 4 areas.
Yeah, what were they?
Accounting. Accounting, understanding the numbers. Investing the strategies, understanding market supply and demand, market conditions, and the law, taxes, corporate structures, that kind of thing.
Right. Understanding the rules of the game.
You need a bit of knowledge in all those areas to really make smart financial decisions.
And speaking of the law, the summary briefly mentions corporations, something about taxes.
Yeah, just a quick note. A corporation earns, spends everything it can, and is taxed on anything that is left. It's one of the biggest legal tax loopholes that the rich use. It hints at using business structure strategically for tax advantages, which is a whole other topic Kiyosaki explores elsewhere.
Okay, interesting. But the book isn't just about numbers and strategies, is it? There's a big mindset component.
Huge. Absolutely huge. The summary points out how people's lives are forever controlled by two emotions, fear and greed. Understanding how those drive your decisions is critical.
Fear of losing money, greed maybe making you take foolish risks.
Exactly. And also the fear of just being different. The summary notes, the fear of being different prevents most people from seeking new ways to solve their problems. Sticking with the herd feels safer, even if the herd isn't going where you want to go.
Yeah, challenging that poor dad conventional wisdom takes guts.
It does. Courage is a big theme. Overcoming self-doubt, too. The summary says, we all have tremendous potential, yet the one thing that holds all of us back is some degree of self-doubt.
So true.
And getting past that, combining technical knowledge with courage, that's where Kiyosaki believes financial genius lies.
The summary also lists reasons why even financially literate people might not succeed, right? Fear was one.
Fear, yeah, the summary specifically says, for most people, the reason they don't win financially is because the pain of losing money is far greater than the joy of being rich. That fear is paralyzing.
What else? Cynicism?
Cynicism, laziness, bad habits, arrogance,
Yeah.
they're all mentioned as potential roadblocks.
Laziness is an interesting one. How does he suggest tackling that?
With a bit of strategic greed, actually. The quote is, whenever you find yourself avoiding something you know you should be doing, then the only thing to ask yourself is, what's in it for me? Be a little greedy. It's the best cure for laziness. Find your compelling reason to act.
Interesting approach. And I love the mindset shift around, I can't afford it.
Oh, that's classic Rich Dad. He believed saying, I can't afford it, just shuts down your thinking.
Right. End of story.
Whereas asking, how can I afford it? That, as the summary says, opens up possibilities, excitement, and dreams. It turns it into a problem to be solved, engages your brain.
It's a much more empowering question.
Definitely. And this all ties back to learning, constantly learning. Education is more valuable than money in the long run, according to the summary.
And seeing opportunities others miss.
Yeah, great opportunities are not seen with your eyes, they are seen with your mind. You had to train yourself financially to recognize potential.
Because, as the summary states, most people never get wealthy simply because they are not trained financially to recognize opportunities right in front of them.
And the Rich Dad's advice on learning. You want to know a little about a lot. Broaden your knowledge base.
Okay, so wrapping up the core ideas. How does the book define actual wealth? Is it just having a lot of money?
Not exactly. The summary provides a functional definition. Wealth is a person's ability to survive so many days forward, or, if I stopped working today, how long could I survive?
So it's about financial independence, your runway.
Exactly. How long can your assets support you without you actively working? That's your measure of wealth.
And one last point about savings. It's not just for rainy days.
Not primarily in this philosophy. The summary says, the rich know that savings are only used to create more money, not to pay bills. Savings are seen as investment capital, fuel to buy more assets.
Okay, so using savings to generate more income, not just letting it sit or using it for expenses.
That's the idea. Keep the money working.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered a lot from that summary. The core ideas seem to be understand assets versus liabilities.
Crucial. Put money in your pocket, don't take it out.
Prioritize financial education.
Yeah.
Learn how money really works.
Build that financial IQ.
Focus on making your money work for you by acquiring assets, minding your own business.
Yep. Build those income streams.
And cultivate that mindset, overcome fear, think creatively, see opportunities.
Absolutely. It's as much about psychology as it is about finance.
It definitely feels like building wealth, Kiyosaki style, is a journey. It's not instant. It takes learning. It takes courage.
And a real shift in perspective away from that traditional poor dad model for many people.
So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Building on what we've discussed, consider how the standard definition of success, the big title, the high salary, maybe the fancy car bought on credit, how might that definition actually be steering you away from building real wealth?
Yeah. Real wealth, defined as that financial independence, that ability to live off your assets, is the traditional path actually a detour?
Something to think about. Are you building someone else's asset column or your own?
Definitely food for thought. We really hope diving into these concepts has sparked some ideas for you. Reflect on them, see how they might apply to your own situation. And please keep sending us your sources. We love doing these deep dives based on what you're interested in. Let us know what you want us to tackle.